UPSC, as everyone says, has become the master of dropping questions. In 2024, UPSC have dropped 3 questions. I guess it's the first time in UPSC history that UPSC is dropping such and such questions. You have found 3 incorrect questions with wrong official answer key. So 3 into 2, that is 6 marks, right? So a student who have given the correct answer would have lost 6 marks plus minus negative 2 marks, that actually counts to 8 marks. And also, if you count the drop questions, that is 3 into 6 plus 8, there's a significant difference of 14 marks. Let me tell you, the only thing that you should do is to prioritize UPSC topics wherein UPSC have asked a number of questions. And you don't need to revisit all the year's question paper and prioritize the topics. We at Civilsdaily have identified all the micro themes that UPSC have asked consistently in the last 15 years and made it for you. So let's take the case of geography. So good day everyone. I know all of you will be very tense right now because we have hardly few hours or days left for prelims. Let me tell you one thing. I have been there 5 times and I have consequently cleared prelims 4 times because I always stay composed, calm, and I'm always disciplined. On the D day, on the prelims day, do not try anything new. Just stay calm. Whatever techniques you have practiced in the test release, as in the number of rounds, as in your time management, and also on how you do the paper. Stick to the plan. Whatever UPSC throws us, let it be sports questions, let it be defense questions, or let it be statement questions or only questions. Stay calm and composed. Please know that if the question paper is difficult for you, it's also difficult for everyone writing the exam. So therefore, the cutoff will be reduced and treat the exam like any other exam. Now, the purpose of this session is to, surgically analyze the UPSC official answer key that was discussed, that was released yesterday. And you must have known that there were several mistakes and also UPSC have dropped several questions as well. Now, UPSC, as everyone says, has become the master of dropping questions. Let me tell you why. In 2020, UPSC have dropped 2 questions. And 2021, 2022, and 23, UPSC have only dropped a single question. But as all of you know, in 2024, UPSC have dropped 3 questions. I guess it's the first time in UPSC history that UPSC is dropping such and such questions. So, before going to the session, let me introduce myself. My name is Sreejay. I have cleared prelims consecutively 4 times, and I have also mentored some of the toppers, as you can see now. Now, Benjo, who secured All India rank 59 in his 3rd attempt, right? So, all of you know Benjo, who cleared prelims, who cleared UPSC and became All India rank 59, right? But I came to know about Benjo after his first 2 failed prelims attempts. And it was due to my mentorship and due to his efforts that he could sail through and become All India rank 59. Now, Nevin Kurivilla Thomas, who secured All India rank 222, 225 in his first attempt, was my foundation level mentee, and I mentored him throughout his preparation. Also, in case of Nesrin B. Fasim, who scored All India rank 703, I was her foundational mentor, and just like Nevin, I was mentoring her till he reached the interview stage and got her name in the Holy PDF. Now, in this session, we'll talk about the incorrect questions, we'll talk about the drop questions, and also we'll discuss almost 10 controversial questions wherein the Civilsdaily's official answer key and how the UPSC official answer key has come. So let's dive directly into the session. So let me tell you, how does these mistakes matter, right? Every year UPSC, drops 1 questions, drop 2 questions, or even drop 3 questions. How does this matter? Let me tell you, it matters a lot. In case of drop questions, there's no significant difference because it goes to everyone, right? There's no change in the cutoff. There's no significant change in the cutoff. But in case of incorrect questions, it matters a lot. Let me tell you why. According to our analysis, we have found 3 incorrect questions with wrong official answer key. So 3 into 2, that is 6 marks, right? So a student who have given the correct answer would have lost 6 marks plus minus negative 2 marks, that actually counts to 8 marks. And also, if you count the drop questions, that is 3 into 6 plus 8, there's a significant difference of 14 marks in her attempt. So 14 marks is a significant score, okay? So let me tell you, the controversial questions are acceptable. There can be certain controversial questions, and UPSC can drop questions. But incorrect questions is something that is unforgivable. With the amount of resources that UPSC have, with the amount of faculties, with the amount of academicians, with the number of vetting, UPSC should not allow this and should be very careful next time when they put the questions. Let me tell you the number of incorrect questions that we have found out. Now, first one, the question regarding hydrogels. I hope all of you have gone through the question. So the question goes, in which of the following are the hydrogels used? First one, controlled drug delivery in patients. Second one, mobile air conditioning systems. And the third one, preparation of industrial lubricants. Now, according to the official answer key, the answer was only one. I hope the first one, controlled drug delivery in patients, is the right answer. But is only one the right answer here? Let me tell you, the right answer is not only one. We have gone through official documents here from Science Direct, Lancet, and other important journals. And what we have found out is that hydrogels, they are highly versatile systems for a wide range of biomedical applications. Usually they are used for biomedical applications. But then you can see here in the Science Direct, they have mentioned here that it also has industrial application. I mean, the third statement here, preparation of industrial lubricants. And in the Science Journal, they actually mentioned that it is used as industrial lubricants. Okay? And also, in the case of other journals, in case of Lancet Journal as well, you can see here, polymeric hydrogel lubricant, it has a lot of industrial applications. So let me tell you, only one is not the answer. It should have been either 1, 2, 3 or 1 and 3. Even for the second statement, what was the second statement? It has applications in mobile air conditioning unit. Now, if you go through this article, this is also from Science Direct, you can see here that the hydrogel has passive cooling hydrogel applications. It is used in radioactive cooling hydrogel. It is used in as evaporative cooling hydrogel. It has also applications in thermal interface. It has also applications in thermo-electric interfaces. That actually means that it can also be used in mobile air conditioning units. And there have been several researchers regarding the mobile air conditioning units, as you can see written here. Okay, hydrogel passive thermal regulation strategies are there. So they have been used for mobile air conditioning units. They have been used for industrial application, industrial lubricants, and also definitely they have also been used for drug delivery. So therefore, the correct answer should have been 1, 2, 3, and not what UPSC have officially given, that is only one. So the answer should have been D, 1, 2, 3. Now, in case of 85th question, now I guess this is the biggest blunder that UPSC have done in several years. Now, what does the question says? The question says that the first statement, the Union Finance Minister on behalf of Prime Minister, okay, on behalf of Prime Minister lays the annual financial statement before both House of Parliament. Now, is it correct? Definitely no. Because, as all of you know, according to Article 112 of the Indian Constitution, it says the President shall in respect every financial year causes laid before both the House of Parliament and annual financial estimates, receipts and expenditure of the Government of India, in this part referred to as the annual financial statement. So, does the Union Finance Minister on behalf of either the Prime Minister or is it the President that he or she lays down the annual financial statement? Definitely, it is not the Prime Minister. According to Article 112, he or she presents the annual financial statement on behalf of the President. So, according to UPSC and official answer key, UPSC has given that 1 and 2 is the right answer, but definitely statement 1 is incorrect and the answer should have been only 2. Now, this is the biggest blunder that UPSC have done in recent years. It's a direct statement from the Indian Constitution and UPSC should have been very careful while putting such statements. Now, moving on to the third question. Now, here is a question regarding the Red Sea, right? So, all of you know, Red Sea is situated on the Arab Peninsula and also the African continent. It's close to the Bab el-Mandeb, to Israel, Palestine, and places which we hear often. The conflict regions, the Israel definitely, the Egypt definitely. Okay. So what does UPSC say? Consider the following statements. The Red Sea receives very little precipitation in any form. So can be correct, right? Of course, Arabian Peninsula and northeastern Africa is a very dry region. Red Sea is one of the saltiest seas in the world. So therefore, the Red Sea receives very little precipitation in any form. Can be correct. UPSC doesn't say here that the Red Sea does not receive any kind of precipitation. So therefore, at least some form of rain would be there. So we can take the first statement as correct. This can be correct because very little is here, and very little can be 50%, 50 centimeter, or even 10 centimeter rainfall. At least some kind of rain would be there. Okay, UPSC can never say that no rain is there. But what about the second statement? What does UPSC say here? No water enters the Red Sea from rivers. Now, think logically. Is it possible that no water, not even a drop of water or 1 liter of water, enters the Red Sea from rivers? Now, this is one of the framing issues that UPSC have made this year. If UPSC wanted to make it incorrect, UPSC could have given no major rivers, or no water enters the Red Sea from significant rivers, or UPSC could have given no significant water enters the Red Sea from rivers. So UPSC could have provided an extreme statement and made that statement incorrect. But can UPSC say that not even a single drop of water from a very small river does not enter Red Sea? Let me tell you, according to the official answer key, this statement is correct and the answer was both 1 and 2. But let me tell you, this is not the right answer. Okay? A lot of small rivers, a lot of small seasonal rivers actually flows into the Red Sea. Let me tell you. So, as you can see here, now I guess UPSC took this statement from, the Britannica. In Britannica, it actually says that no water enters the Red Sea from rivers. Okay? But then, I guess the river mentioned here refers to the main rivers or the significant rivers. But then, if you look closely, if you search in Wikipedia and if you search in all the other websites, you will come across rivers such as Barka, Wadilaba, Anseba, and several other rivers. And these rivers are not significant rivers, okay? These rivers are mostly seasonal rivers. They flow into Red Sea. And let me tell you, I have actually confirmed with Google Map as well. If you look at closely at the Google Map, if you close in on the Red Sea, you can see several seasonal rivers actually going into the Red Sea. So this statement, the second statement, is also correct, and the official answer key should have been only 1, because a number of seasonal rivers actually flows into the Red Sea. This is a significant fault. At least 8 marks is deferred here. Several aspirants who should not have qualified, and several aspirants who should have qualified for mains examination have not qualified due to the mistake made by UPSC. UPSC should be very careful from now on. Now, what about the drop questions? It's actually silly to be 3 questions to be dropped. As I said in the beginning, with the amount of resources that UPSC have, this should not have happened. But this can happen, right? There have been framing issues, there have been translation issues. But in one question, UPSC should not have gone wrong, because it was a very big mistake made by UPSC in the convalings question. Let us discuss that. Now, in the first question, which was dropped, the Indian flying fox, okay, so basically there are 2 statements here. The first statement, the Indian flying fox is placed under the vermin category in the Wildlife Protection Act. Okay, we don't know about that, right? It can be correct or it can be incorrect. But what about the second statement? The Indian flying fox feeds on the blood of other animals. Now, is it correct? Definitely no. Because the Indian flying fox is actually frugivorous. And what does a frugivorous mean? Frugivorous basically means that they mainly eat fruits and consumes nectar. You can actually relate this, the Indian flying fox with you all heard about Nipah, right? Mostly Nipah spreads in Kerala, unfortunately. So it's basically because of this bat. Okay, so it is a frugivorous bat and doesn't feed on the blood of other animals. So the second statement would obviously be incorrect, and the answer should have been C. But UPSC have dropped this question. Now, why did UPSC drop this question? Let me explain why. So, what does the first statement say? The Indian flying fox is placed under vermin category in the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Now, according to Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, it classifies all the animals and the species, plant species, into 6 schedules. And the fifth schedule among the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, it classifies the vermins. So previously, the Indian flying fox was under vermin category according to Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Okay, but what happened after the amendment? So as you can see here, the Indian flying fox. So you can see here, the date is 2021. Before the Amendment Act, the Indian flying fox has been listed or is listed as a vermin under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. But then, what happened after the Wildlife Protection Amendment Act of 1922? So it basically got away with 2 schedules. Okay, so in the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, there were 6 schedules, and the 5th one was related to vermin. But after the amendment, it classified the schedules into 4. It went away with the 5th schedule, and now there's no schedule for vermins. So all the animals which was there in the 5th schedule, okay, all the animals which was there in the 5th schedule in the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 has been mentioned in the Schedule 2. And the Schedule 2 basically refers to animals which has less amount of protection. Okay, so all the animals which were there in vermin 2, in the Schedule 5 of 1972 has now been classified under Schedule 2 of the Wildlife Protection Act of 2022. Now, can we say that they are classified under vermins? No, because currently the Indian flying fox is under Schedule 2 of Wildlife Protection Act of 2022 and not under vermin category of 1972 Act. So the first statement should also be incorrect. Now that's why UPSC have dropped this question. Okay, I hope all of you are clear. So why is it factually incorrect? The Indian flying fox is listed currently under Schedule 2 of the Wildlife Protection Act of 2022. Now there is no national list for vermin. Okay, now currently there is no national list. It's basically the state government who have to approach the government to list an animal under the vermin category. So the Kerala government is actually protesting to list the wild boar under vermin category so that the government can actually kill them, because the wild boar is a major issue in Kerala. Now, what about the second question? The dropped one. The syndicate lending spreads the risk of borrower defaults across multiple lenders. Now, what does syndicate lending mean? What does the word syndicate mean? Syndicate means a group of persons, right? We have seen syndicates in Congress. We have seen syndicates in other major parties. So syndicate basically means a group of persons. So what does syndicate lending mean? Syndicate lending means a number of banks come together and they group their money and lend to a person or someone else. Let's say if an infrastructure project requires 1 lakh crores, a single bank cannot afford that. A single bank cannot provide 1 lakh crore. So what do? A number of banks come together and they pull in the money and they provide 1 lakh crore to the infrastructure builder. And what does the credit line mean? Credit line basically means that the amount is very flexible. Okay, suppose let's say a person needs only 80,000 crores. These debtors will say that, these creditors will say that we can offer you up to 1 lakh crores. So 20,000 is a leeway here. If the person wants 10,000 more or 20,000 more, they can approach these banks again. So they are very flexible. Now that is meant by the line of credit. Means that there is no fixed amount and the amount which can be withdrawn is actually flexible. Now the statement Syndicate lending spreads the risk of borrower default across multiple lenders. Definitely, right? Because there are a number of lenders. There are ICICI Bank, SBI Bank, IDB Bank. There are different banks. Therefore, the risk of borrower default is across multiple lenders. The first statement is correct. Now, what about the second one? The syndicate loan can be a fixed amount or a lump sum of funds but cannot be credit line. No, this is also incorrect because the syndicate funding can offer credit line of credit. So therefore, the first statement is correct here and the second statement is incorrect. Therefore, the answer should have been C. Now, why did UPSC drop this question? It's because of a mere translation issue. So as you can see in the Hindi version, a word here is mentioned that, I'll show you. So a word here is mentioned that Ren Vyavastha. And let me tell you, the word Ren Vyavastha is a very technical term. Okay, it's a very technical term. It has different meanings. So those aspirants who have read the Hindi version would have made this incorrect. There might be a lot of confusion regarding the actual practical meaning of the word Ren Vyavastha. Okay, so that's why UPSC dropped this question. It's a fair thing to do, right? There can be translation issues. So that's why UPSC dropped this question because Ren Vyavastha is a very technical jargon and there can be multiple interpretations regarding the word Ren Vyavastha. So since there's a possibility of multiple interpretations, UPSC have dropped this question. Now, let's move on to the final question which was dropped. Now, let me tell you, this should not have happened. This is a very silly mistake made on the part of UPSC and should not happen ever in the future. Now, what does the question say? The question says that with reference to the revenue collection by load convalings, consider the following statements. Now, the first statement says, under the right-wary settlement of revenue collection, the peasants were exempted from revenue payments in case of bad harvest or natural calamities. Now, let me tell you, is convalings related to right-wary settlement? Is convalings related to right-wary settlement? No. Convalings was basically the person behind the permanent settlement or the zamindari system as you call it. Now, who was related to right-wary settlement? It was basically Thomas Munro who was associated with the right-wary settlement, right? So, now how should an aspirant answer this question? Should he answer the question as Lord Cornwallings was not part of the right-wary settlement, right? So therefore, should he make it incorrect? Or should he read the question? Should he read the question without taking Cornwallings into mind? Should he read this statement as such? Under the right-wary system of revenue collection, the persons were exempted from revenue payments in case of bad harvest and natural calamities. This is right. Okay. In certain right-wary settlements, the peasants were actually exempted from tax in case of famine and all. So this statement is actually correct if you read this statement as a standalone statement. But when you actually look into whether it was introduced by Cornwallings, the answer becomes incorrect because Cornwallings did not introduce right-wary settlement. Now let me provide you a different example. Okay. So with reference to the national parks in Kerala, consider the following statements. Okay. This is a hypothetical question. With reference to the national parks given in Kerala, consider the following statements. The first statement, Ramganga flows through Jim Corbett National Park. Now, how would you answer this question? Would you answer, okay, Jim Corbett National Park is in Uttarakhand. So it is not a part of Kerala's national park. So therefore, the question is incorrect. Therefore, the statement is incorrect. Or would you answer the question, okay, Ramganga flows through Jim Corbett National Park. Therefore, the statement is correct. Now, it creates a lot of confusion, right? It creates a lot of confusion. Now, that's why UPSC have dropped this question because several aspirants have taken this statement as standalone and did not involve Cornwallings into this. And several other aspirants have taken Cornwallings into question because Cornwallings is mentioned here and the question should be something related to Cornwallings. Therefore, right-wary is not related to Cornwallings. convalescence is related to the permanent settlement, therefore the first statement is incorrect. Now, it created a lot of confusion. That's why UPSC have dropped this question as well. Now, this should have been avoided by UPSC, okay? Should have been very careful. Now, let us discuss some of the controversial questions. And let me tell you, these controversial questions, there has been some concept clarity regarding the same, okay? There have been certain conceptual issues. There can be, the question have been made controversial because of the framing, okay? So UPSC should be very careful in framing such questions. Let us go through that. Now, let me also tell you that every year, we at Civilsdaily list around 10 controversial questions. And let me tell you, this year, okay, among the 10 controversial questions that were there in UPSC, 8 of them have been correct according to our Civilsdaily's answer key. Now, let me tell you, this is a very significant achievement. A lot of academies over there have made around 8 to 10 questions incorrect. But in case of Civilsdaily, and when we compare the official answer key as well, we have, apart from the incorrect questions that we have discussed, we have made only 2 errors. Okay, so among the 10 controversial questions that we are going to discuss, we have only made 2 errors. That itself is a very significant thing. That actually shows the clarity of the faculties here. That actually shows how Civilsdaily thinks on light with the UPSC answer key as well. Okay, so that is a very significant achievement on part of Civilsdaily. So the first one, this is a bit controversial question. So the question here says that the Northeastern Council was established by the Northeastern Council Act. Subsequent to the amendment of the Northeastern Council Act of 2002, who were the members of the council? So the first one, the governor of the constituent state is definitely a member. Chief Minister is also definitely a member. 3 members nominated by the president are also members. But then, is the Home Minister member of the council? This was a question that many of the aspirants have made it incorrect. Now let me tell you why the Home Minister is not there. So according to official answer key as well, the answer is 1, 2, 3. Okay, the answer should have been answer 1, 2, 3. So there is no controversy in the key. But then, does the Home Minister of India come into question? Is the Home Minister of India part of the NEC? Definitely, the Home Minister is part of NEC. Currently, our Home Minister, Amit Shah, is actually the chairperson of the NEC. But let me tell you, is the Home Minister explicitly mentioned in the Northeastern Council Act? No. Okay, so who are the members? The members are basically the governors. The members are the chief ministers, and also 3 members nominated by the president. And it is by pure luck that the Home Minister was among one of the 3 members nominated by the president. And our Home Minister, Amit Shah, is currently or became the chairman of the council. But is the Home Minister ex officio member of the council? No. He is only one of the 3 members nominated by the president. It can be any 3 members, right? Maybe next year the Home Minister may not be the chairman of the council. It might be the Minister of Donor. It might be Nitin Gadkari, who is the Minister of Road and Transport. So it can be anyone. So it is by pure chance that Amit Shah or the Home Minister came into being. Okay? So therefore, the answer is 1, 2, 3. Now, what about the second one? Now, this is a very, very technical question. I won't go into the details, but let me tell you, Civilsdaily has been correct in providing answer key to the question. Our answer key was only 2, only 3, wasp, flies, and carabid beetles. And also, according to UPSC answer key as well, the answer has been B. So this is a significant achievement on part of Civilsdaily. Almost most of the academies in Delhi have given the answer as all 5. Now, third one, in this question also, I was actually very surprised to know that most of the academies, I don't want to name the academies here, have given the answer as all 3. But we at Civilsdaily have provided the right answer, and the right answer is only 2. Now, why is it only 2? Consider the following activities. In how many of the activities have the radars been used? Okay, monitoring of precipitation, radars are used, we can definitely say that. Tracking the migration of animals, radars are used. But each radar is used for the identification of narcotics on the passengers at airports or in aircraft or in railway stations or in the Delhi metro. No, I stay in Paharganj and I came by the metro to the Karol Bagh station, and I actually noticed that. I mean, the Delhi metro, the CIF obviously checks our bag, right? It was an X-ray baggage scanner. It was not a what? It was not a radar baggage scanner. Okay, so let me tell you, radars are not used. We have not seen anywhere in the world, any airport, not even in North Korea or not even China or not even a village in Japan, uses radars for scanning narcotics. Okay, because the main objective of the radar is not to scan narcotics, or it is not used in airports. It's basically they use the X-ray baggage scanners, or they use the technology known as X-rays in order to scan narcotics and other electronic equipments or even any equipments that are there in the baggages. So therefore, 1 is not there. The correct answer is only 2. And our official answer key, the Civilsdaily answer key, is 100% correct in actually doing this. Most of the academies have made it wrong. Now let's one. Now this is another controversial question, especially the first statement. Now here, in India, non-banking financial companies can access the liquidity adjustment facility window of Reserve Bank of India. Now, what do we usually study? Can the NBFCs actually access the liquidity adjustment facility, which is basically the reverse and reverse repo rate? I mean, the repo and the reverse repo rate. Can NBFCs actually park their funds or borrow from the RBI using the repo and reverse repo? No, right? So let me tell you, if you read it on the usual base, if you read it as a general question, okay, in India, non-banking financial companies can access the liquidity facility. No, only scheduled commercial banks and primary leaders can actually access the liquidity accessment facility. Okay, so when you read it generally, you can say that no, it is not incorrect. But then, what is the word UPSC have introduced here? In India, non-banking financial companies can access. And let me tell you, primary leaders, okay, primary dealers, there's a category under primary dealers known as standard primary dealers. Okay, there's a category under primary dealers known as standard primary dealers. And let me tell you, they are basically classified as NBFCs. Okay, primary dealers, or a subcategory under the primary dealers known as the standard primary dealers, are classified as NBFC, and they can actually access the liquidity and adjustment facility of the Reserve Bank of India. Now, what about this one? This is also another controversial question. So the first one, there is no minimum capital requirement for wholly owned banking subsidiaries in India. This statement is definitely incorrect, right? Because in case of foreign banks, we know that they require a minimum capital of 5 billion or 500 crores. So there will be at least some capital, right? Even scheduled commercial banks, I believe they need to have at least 50 to 100 crores. Therefore, the first statement is definitely incorrect. But then, what about the second statement? For wholly owned banking subsidiaries in India, at least 50% of the board members should be Indian nationals. Now, look at the word he mentioned here, should be Indian nationals. But then, if you read the RBI notification very carefully, and what does the RBI notification says? It can be, it need not be Indian nationals, rather it can be not less than 50% of the directors should be Indian nationals or NRIs or even person of Indian origins. So it can be person of Indian origin as well, and there is no mandate that, okay, there is no mandate that it should be Indian nationals. But then What did the UPC provide? 50% of the birds should be Indian nationals. No, it can be person of Indian origin as well. So that's why second statement given here is incorrect. Therefore, both statements are incorrect and the answer is D. Now, this is also a controversial question made by UPSC. Now, let me tell you, what should you do in your final days? What should you do in your final days? Definitely, you need to read the PYQs. You need to go through the 2023 question paper. You need to go through the 2024 question paper as well. Apart from that, what should you do? Let me tell you, the only thing that you should do is to prioritize the UPSC topics wherein UPSC have asked a number of questions. Prioritize the topics. We at Civilsdaily have identified all the micro themes that UPSC have asked consistently in the last 15 years and made it for you. So let's take the case of geography. So what should you read in the last 3 days in case of geography? So here you can see the micro distribution, geomorphology, minerals, Indian geography zones, climatology clouds is not very significant. But then what should you read in case of geography? You should be reading the river systems on which 22 questions has been asked. You should be reading the world map related questions wherein 14 questions are asked. So what should you do? On the final 3 days or the final 2 days that is left for us, you should be prioritizing yourself and should only be reading the micro themes that we have given you. Okay. What about the case of history or even art and culture? Should you focus on the Vedic culture? Or should you focus on the historic terms? Should you focus on the art form dance? No. What should you focus on the final 3 days? You should be focusing on the ancient and medieval literature, especially the Sanskrit drama, or you should be focusing on the Buddhism philosophy, wherein UPSC have asked about a number of Buddhist caves, the Yogacara, Madhyamika, and all the other forms of Buddhist philosophy. And also they have been asked about the founders, right? They have asked about Asanga, Digganaga, and all the other founders and philosophers that are there in Buddhism and Jainism. So you need to focus on literature, Buddhism, and Jainism philosophy. So let me tell you once again, don't go through all the questions or all the topics. Go by the micro themes. Micro themes will help you to identify those areas which UPSC have asked repetitive questions, and you only need to read these topics on your final days. So in case of economy, what should you read? You should go through the RBS function and also the monetary policy, wherein UPSC have asked a number of questions. In case of polity, what should you read? You should not read the citizenship. You should not waste your manpowers by reading citizenship. You should not reading about the taxation or the writs as well. But then what should you focus on? As you can see here, you should read about the fundamental rights and duties. You should read about the political theory, and you should also read about the judiciary, wherein UPSC have asked the most number of questions. So one thing that I want to say is that believe in yourself, stick to what we said, stick to the logics discussed here, stick to what your mentors have told you, stick to your logics, stick to your time management, stick to everything that you have been doing for the past years or even the years of preparation. I wish you all the best. Give your best performance, okay? Don't panic. Don't say to yourself. Treat it like a normal exam. And be disciplined, stay calm, composed. As I always mentioned, I wish you all the best once again. So thank you everyone. Hope you have enjoyed the session. Thank you very much.